No-nonsense gin drinking. All gin and a surprising amount of nonsense.
Hello gin lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman. Today, my friends, it is a big one. Strap yourselves in because today I'm going to be bringing you the first ever No-Nonsense Gin Awards, okay? You may be aware of various other award ceremonies that happen around the world. You've got the World Gin Awards, you've got the Scottish Gin Awards, you've got the San Francisco Gin Awards, but forget all those, my friends. Forget them. They may have, panels of experts and, and attended by very, very wise and educated people from the gin world from all over the planet, but do they have a man sitting in his dining room with a very rudimentary setup in a shirt which he's been wearing for about 6 years, which has actually got a hole in the sleeve because it's rotting away? No, they don't, my friends. No, they don't. So forget all those. Cancel your ticket to San Francisco or Scotland or wherever the hell else it is. Just sit back, relax, because old Freeman here is going to be bringing you the best, in my opinion anyway, the best and most eclectic, shall we say, categories of gin and awarding them for those, that makes no sense, and awarding them in each category thusly. So sit back, my friends, as I said before, relax, do whatever you like, loosen your trousers, crack open I was going to say a beer, doesn't seem to be very on brand. Pour yourself a gin, and that's it really, and just enjoy the first ever No-Nonsense Gin Awards. Best All-Rounder. So my friends, it seems sensible to start off the opening category as the best all-rounder, and that is going to be my old friend the Tanqueray 10. So everyone's going to have heard of Tanqueray. It is global, okay? Whenever there is a country where people drink gin, this is going to be there. And this particular one, they do many, many different types of Tanqueray. This one was just... It's one of the closest examples of almost getting to a perfect gin. In fact, I'd say it probably is. It's the perfect gin. It's just got so much complexity and depth of flavour, and I think it's a lot due to the fact that they use, as I've talked about this a lot before, fresh citrus fruits rather than the dried up version. They actually whack proper fresh, great big lemons and limes in there, and it just gives it a depth of flavour and, as I say, a complexity that very few other gins match. There is one which we're going to feature later which comes in fact, I think perhaps even edges it a little bit over this one, but that's a comment for another video or another section of this video, as you'll find out. Anyway, my point is, it's quite expensive, this one, especially my viewers and subscribers have told me from around the world it is extraordinarily expensive when you go outside the UK, especially. But if you can save up a bit of money and get this, you are never going to be disappointed. It is excellent and very worthy recipient of my best all-rounder. Best new gin. Now this is a bit of a tricky category actually, because there've been so many good new gins recently. It was a bit of a tough choice, but this one kind of really stood, sort of head and shoulders above the rest of them. And this, of course, is James Gin California Dream Gin. Now, if you don't know this is made by the TV presenter James May, and well, it's not made by him. It's kind of I don't know what it is. It's his gin. He owns the company. It was his kind of idea. But this one was produced at the Downton Distillery by the wonderful Hugh Anderson, who has some amazing gins of his own as well. I recommend you go and check out his website and buy them all immediately. And this one's actually a savoury gin. In fact, I think all of the James gins are technically savoury gins, but this was particularly savoury. And some people are about this, but I really, really like a savoury gin. This one was made with mushrooms, a nice eclectic mix of all sort of wonderful and crazy sounding mushrooms, hence the name California Dream Gin, a nod to the era of the 60s or 70s. I probably should have researched it. Somewhere around that era anyway, when kind of mushrooms were very popular, they just were. And for me, I just kind of really loved the way the flavours were blended together, and it's a kind of a sort of a buttery sort of, obviously mushroomy, but kind of a seasonedy kind of flavour to it. And a lot of people like sort of and ah about the the savouriness, but I really, really like it, and it's extremely original, extremely tasty, and just a wonderful, wonderful gin, and very worthy of the accolade of best new gin. Now, just quickly, guys, before we go on, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, and they are ZBiotics. Now, my regular viewers will know that I've been sponsored by these guys for a while now, and I love them. It's such a brilliant idea. If you don't know what they are a pre-alcohol probiotic drink, which basically helps you to bounce back a little bit quicker the day after you've been on a night out. So basically, you take that off like that, you drink one of these lovely little fellows before you go out, and the next day you will be on the road to recovery just a little bit quicker, which can only be a good thing. And that's not the only good thing, my friends, because if you head over there now via the link below this video, you'll be able to get 15% off your first order. So head over there, my friends, get your ZBiotics today. Best bottle design. So the Best Bottle Design Award goes to Silent Pool. Now, many of my viewers will have watched my reviews on this particular brand of gin over many years. I started, I featured the original Silent Pool gin way back at the beginning of the channel. And I think I initially said, of the bottle, it's so good you want to just take it home and spend the night in bed with it, which is a little bit, I'm not sure I'd go with that joke anymore. Would I? Wouldn't I? Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. It was a good joke. I then followed up that joke with the next one by saying I'd like to take it home for the weekend to meet my mother. I think we're going a little bit kind of into areas which kind of people are going to feel uncomfortable when we're talking about a bottle. So I will move on. However, my point is, I think it's a triumph. I mean, look at it. Look, I mean, these are just two of the gins. They also have the original gin as well. There is another one as well, a slightly rose hinted version. But anyway, you get the general idea. I think they're an absolute work of art. And they're actually all the little, if you look into the little patterns, there's lots of things going on and with nods to the kind of air. I'm not sure what it's nods to, but I'm sure it's nods to something in there. As is the case with many forms of art, there's always sort of hidden little things in there. And I probably should have researched them, but I haven't. But my point is, I think they are tremendous, extremely pretty, and I recommend, and not to mention, the gin within is also truly fantastic. If you want to find out about these particular gins and all the other range of the Silent Pool gins, you can either you can actually do a distillery tour down in Dorset, I think it is. I can't remember. Look it up, the Silent Pool Gin Distillery Tour. You could also watch my videos of which I've reviewed them, and you can find out exactly what they're like there. In fact, that's probably a better idea. Best Value Gin. So, Best Value Gin, and it's got to be Beefeater. The good old classic, the old friend, the old stalwart that has been, it's always there when you need it. When you need a good friend to put their arm around you, and this metaphor's getting a bit weird. But my point is, it's one of my, just sort of, again, a core go-to gin. Now, I'm not really talking about, I suppose I am really. These are the two, we've got a lemon one and an orange one here, but I'm kind of primarily talking about the standard, the core, the traditional original Beefeater, because over here it varies obviously where you are in the UK, but over here you get it for about as low as £15, and you can actually get cheaper than that if you go to some of the German supermarkets here. But I want to kind of make this relevant for all my viewers all over the world. So in terms of a gin that you'll all be able to relate to and drink, it's kind of going to be the cheapest. Again, I'm not sure, it varies where you are in the world, but it's not doing anything fancy, it's not doing anything crazy and wonderful and out there and world-changing, but it's just doing everything right in the perfect measure, and it's an extremely good price, and I am never going to be complaining if someone pours me a Beefeater. Weirdest gin. And the award for weirdest gin, obviously no competition here, that is Anty Gin by the Cambridge Distilleries. Now, if you're not familiar with this gin, this is made by basically mashing up a load of ants and putting them in the gin, essentially. And many of you are going to be thinking, well why? What's the point? What does an ant taste like? Wow, when an ant is frightened or distressed, it produces something called formic acid, which apparently tastes a bit citrusy. So I'm not sure if they've got someone in the distillery terrorizing and distressing and frightening the ants, either if they hide behind the table and just jump out and just go, ah! However, they do actually produce a really nice gin. But, my friends, there's a big but here. So it's going to cost you a lot of money if you want to try this very unusual gin, because it's quite, I would imagine it's quite labour intensive to go out foraging for ants in the Kent countryside. So it takes a lot of time. So they do have to make it quite expensive. However, this, my friends, has a price tag of over £200, about £220 usually here. You can work that whatever that is in your country. To me, that seems to just not worth it. I mean, yeah, it tastes a bit lemony. It tastes kind of citrusy and lemony, but I kind of think to myself, well, you know what? Why not use a lemon? Just my advice. I did reach out to the Cambridge Distilleries for a comment on this, or even to send me a bottle, but they completely ignored me. So this is very unbiased account you get here. But it is expensive, but no doubt, absolutely in my mind, that it is 100% the weirdest. Most surprisingly good. So my friends, the most surprisingly good gin was actually a really easy choice, because this, if you're not familiar with it, my friends, is Indlovu gin from Africa. Okay, now this is made, again, sit down, brace yourselves. This is made from, well, no easy way to put this, elephant shit. Or if you prefer, elephant dung, elephant poo, elephant excrement, elephant stool, but I think you get the idea. And when I first heard of this, I think one of my subscribers had sent me a little message about this, and because it was actually quite tricky to get hold of. You can't get it here in the UK, but I thought to myself, how You know, how in the name of all things holy could that possibly taste nice? Why did someone think this was a good idea? However, my friends, I manned up and I took a good old slurp of it, and it was very, very nice. In fact, you know, it wasn't just passable, it was a genuinely good gin. Now, how would I describe it? This is probably not going to make it any better for you if you're freaking out already, but I'd say it was a little bit grassy and kind of earthy. I'm not doing myself any favours here, am I? But somehow it kind of worked. There was a balance of kind of citrusiness in there as well, and it just kind of, it seemed all right. It was almost a little bit kind of an essence of tea as well, which is actually quite apt because apparently African tribespeople used to, that's quite a broad term, isn't it, African tribespeople? I don't know which particularly tribes, but I don't know, some sort of tribe. They've used it for hundreds and, well, probably thousands of years really, to make tea out of. They squeeze a nice big elephant poo and make a nice bit of tea out of it. So someone thought, well, I'll tell you what, if that's good enough for tea, it's good enough for gin. And that seems like some good logic to me. And I also really like, on the back, it actually tells you the coordinates of where the poo was picked and the date that it was picked. Now, I don't know why that would be. I'm not too worried, to be honest, but it's just nice to know. But anyway, if you're put off by the fact that it's come out of an elephant's arse, don't worry about it. Give it a go if you see some, because honestly, it definitely does not taste like worst smelling gin. So then, this is a bit of a tricky one now, because when I was looking at contenders for the worst smelling gin, this was a bit of a toss-up between two gins. It was almost this one, again from the Cambridge distilleries, which also produced the Anty Gin. This is truffle gin, and it's extremely, as you would expect. You can see it's actually quite dusty. That's because I put it right at the back of the shelf and never drink it. And as you'd expect, let's open it up. Oh, good God, it is extremely truffly. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a truffle, okay? I really like a truffle, but I don't think it works in gin. But anyway, that's not the one, because it was pipped at the post. In fact, to be honest, this one came absolutely thrashing through and completely pushed that one aside at the post. This, my friends, is Pickering's, oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this, Pickering's Brussels sprout flavoured gin. Now, you can see by the colour of it, not particularly attractive, and I don't know, some people love Brussels sprouts. I'm not in a Brussels sprout fan camp. I don't like them at all. I remember when my grandmother one Christmas got a lot of the leftovers from the Christmas dinner, put them out for the dog. The poor dog ate everything on that plate. The meat, obviously, well, mostly the meat, to be honest, but the potatoes and everything as well. We went out there, the bowl was completely clean except for one Brussels sprout. Even the dog wouldn't eat it. And it was licked clean of all the gravy, but no way would even a dog eat a Brussels sprout. And indeed, when I reviewed it, the smell was quite extraordinarily bad. I'm just going to go in again just for just for your entertainment, really, and to be scientific. So, oh Lord above, oh Christ! There's literally, I'm sorry about this for anybody who are a little bit sensitive, don't like this sort of language, but there's only one way to describe it, and that is pure fart. Unadulterated, undiluted methane from someone's anus. That's like smelling someone's anus, honestly. I didn't do any research for that, but I can imagine what it smells like. I mean, I like the idea of doing something different. Brilliant, great. But honestly, I don't think, even if you liked Brussels sprouts, I can't think you would ever enjoy sniffing or indeed tasting that. So anyway, there we go. Worst smelling gin. Congratulations, Pickerings. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. Strongest gin. So then, my friends, strongest gin, again, was a very, very easy choice, because this, my friends, is a gin from a company called Anno, and it's called Anno 95, and that will give you a clue as to the strength, because it is 95% volume. Now, I think the idea of this is that you just pour a tiny, tiny fraction of what you would usually pour when you make it, but use the same amount of tonic. And I must say, I was quite surprised at this, because I thought it was just going to be all strength and wham bam and nothing else, but it was actually beautifully multi-layered and sort of like a core gin, all those nice classic core flavours and botanicals in there, but kind of intensified, actually. I mean, it burned a little hot. I felt it burning literally all down I was kind of aware of my entire esophagus, but it was really, really nice. And I tried it a couple of ways. I tried it with a normal gin and tonic with a tiny bit in. I tried it with a normal shot in. And I even tried a full-size neat shot. And you can ask Narissa about this. I actually fell over on the way back into the house from the studio. Now, I must just say, I would not recommend people doing that. That was just in the interests of partially science, partially entertainment. So I always recommend responsible drinking drinking on this show, but I am, of course, an expert, and I know exactly what I'm doing in some ways. But anyway, that is an extraordinary gin, very unexpectedly brilliant, and if you see this, they're a UK-based company based out in Kent. I've actually visited their distillery. It's very, very cool, and made by two scientists, so they're incredibly clever and intelligent, and make some amazing gins. So if you see this one, don't be put off by the strength, because it's actually a very nice gin as well. Just don't be having a full shot of it, believe me. Gin that tastes nothing like gin. So the award for gin that tastes nothing like gin goes to, quite an easy decision again, to Brookmans. Now this, it's not, it sounds like a negative, but it's actually not, because, okay, it doesn't really taste. There's so many flavours in Brookmans. It is an explosion of every kind of fruity, sweet and citrusy flavour you could possibly think of. It's kind of like a fruit punch, really. Is there any juniper present or discernible in there? No, there's not. However, my friends, it's kind of my guilty pleasure, because it's, when I went and bought this from the shop in London, the guy said to me, you should try this because it tastes like putting a whole bag of Skittles in your mouth in one go. And I thought, that sounds good to me. I'm just gonna have a quick sniff of it now. Oh my God, it's an absolute fruity tooty treat. And this particular one is actually their second edition. This is called Orange Kiss. So it's all those kind of flavors from before, but just kind of the oranges sort of pushed a little bit forward, and it works so well. Whenever I have a party and people want to say, oh, let's try some of your gins, especially if people aren't particularly keen on gin, I give them one of these, and this kind of brings them round. So although it sounds negative, it doesn't really taste like a gin, it's still a very nice and guilty pleasure. Most original gin. Now this was another very easy choice, because this, my friends, is Broken Bat Gin from Greater Than Gin. Now if you're not aware of these guys, they are actually an Indian gin, and their original Broken Bat Gin was my go-to gin for a while. It was delicious. Just, again, it was a core gin, wasn't doing anything wonderfully creative or sort of weird and sort of over the top, but it was a beautiful balanced core gin, slightly more orange focused, and I just thought it was really, really nice. However, then they sent me this one. You might be thinking to yourself, what the hell is Broken Bat Gin? This is actually made, believe it or not, with cricket bats. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, no, oh my God, he's taken leave of his senses now. This is rubbish. No, it's absolutely true. So broken bats that have been broken for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe they whacked the ball a little bit too hard, or I don't know, whatever. They've been broken by some way and means. They whack them all in the that's my Porky Pig impression again. They whack them all in the distiller together, and the kind of essence from these bats, which are made from cashmere willow, it draws the flavours from this wood, and it's kind of very similar to a barrel-aged gin, I would guess, and it sort of draws all this sort of tannins out, and it's kind of a sort of a little touch of pininess, I would say, and kind of certainly a tang in there as well, but also a kind of what they describe in some wines as tannins. That kind of, it's difficult to actually describe, but the way I always describe it on this show is that when it goes in your tongue, and you've got that kind of, you can just kind of feel a little bit kind of purchase, almost sort of waxy quality to it, which sounds a little bit weird, but somehow it really, really kind of worked. I'm going to treat myself to a little sniff to it again. Come on. Come on. Oh, is it a cork? Oh, right. I could do a cork test. Oh, not bad. Oh, yeah. It's definitely got a kind of a sort of a barrel-aged sort of essence to it. And I just really, really like that. So original, so unique. And that's why it is my most original gin. And if you see this, you should definitely try it. And finally, the most underrated gin. So here we go, guys. The final award of the night or day or whatever time you happen to be watching this video goes to the Gardener Gin. Now look at this. Very, very understated. You might pass this by on the shelf. You might think, or some other kind of noises. However, my friends, its understated exterior belies a very, very interesting interior and indeed history. Because this was created by, it's a combination of people. It was Tom Nicol, who actually was the distiller who created the Tanqueray 10, which we started this video with, the Perrin family in France, and none other than Brad Pitt. And as I said in my original video, but he doesn't, plaster his face all over it. He doesn't, go all, mad with the promotions, appearing with it, going, hey, buy my gin. That's my Brad Pitt impression there, in case you were wondering. But, it's just, as I say, it's extremely understated in every essence of the world. But not only is it understated, it is truly magnificent. One of the greatest gins I have ever tried. It's, as I said before, I think in the very first section of this video, it's like that. It's very similar to the Tanqueray 10, but it just kind of, for me, the depths of flavors just go a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more kind of heavy on the citrus, and it just gives a little bit more of what Tanqueray was giving, and that can only be a good thing. And again, it uses these fresh citruses. And to be honest, I don't know why more gins don't do that, because it creates absolutely exceptional gins. As far as I'm aware, these are the only 2 gins that I'm aware of that do it, and they're both of them are, for me, really at the peak of the higher echelons of the gin world, and I absolutely love this. So if you see this one, do not pass it by. Don't be lured by these silly looking other gins that are all flamboyant. This, my friends, is one of the best gins you could ever get, and that's why it is finishing off my video today as the most understated but brilliant gin. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that video today. As I said before, don't be looking at any results of any other gin awards. Just come to me, okay? If you want proper, honest gin opinions from someone who knows very little and is not an expert in any way, shape or form about, well, anything really. However, what I do have is a moderately successful YouTube channel where I have reviewed hundreds and hundreds of gins. Also, I need the attention. I've got no friends. And if you have enjoyed this video, and indeed if you are still watching at this point, don't forget to press the little like button on the video, press the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, or if you want to be a supporter of the show, head over to the Patreon page or click the join button below this video. But until next time, guys, this was the No Nonsense Gin Awards. I'm Bobby Freeman. Take care, stay safe. Thank you to all my patrons and members, and of course, keep drinking the gin.